Let's say that you have developed your mobile app and published it in the Apple App Store. Congratulations. And you have chosen not to use Firebase Analytics to be more privacy friendly towards your users. And you have actually chosen another solution which claims to be very privacy friendly, which is great. And they also say that they are GDPR compliant. Being privacy friendly is one thing, which should be appreciated, as much as possible, and being GDPR compliant is a different thing, and it's a huge promise, and it is sort of a difficult promise to hold actually, because being GDPR compliant is not that easy. Before we go any further from here, I want to remind you that I am a developer. I am not a lawyer, and whatever I say here is only, my opinions. You have to make your own choices, and you have to take your own decisions when you select your analytics solution for your mobile application. Let's continue. So the thing here is that when an analytics solution tells you that they are GDPR compliant, they are directly or indirectly telling you that you, as the owner of your mobile app, don't need to ask for user consent from your users when collecting the analytics data. And it is the danger zone actually, because you need to check several things to be able to say that you don't need to ask for user consent. And if you actually reduce the level of data that you collect from your users to a level where you don't need to ask for user consent anymore, it pretty much means that you are not collecting any data at all. So it is not easy to be GDPR compliant at a level so that you don't need to ask your users for their consent to be able to collect analytics data. I'm going to explain a few things here. In the web, things may be different, but in the world of mobile apps, it is actually a bit more difficult. In most cases, mobile app developers want to know which journey the user makes before making a purchase. And to be able to understand this, you basically need to connect the events that are happening within the application for the user so that you can connect the dots and get an idea about what the user has done before making a purchase within the application. You install an application and you start using it, let's say. But it is not always the case that you make a purchase right away in your first session. Maybe you use the application multiple times before you make the purchase at the end. And app developers in general desperately want to know, how this thing happened along the way, which kind of journey you had within the app, and how you ended up making the purchase at the end of your journey. Let's say that I installed the application at 9 a.m. for the sake of example on a given day. But I haven't really made any purchase, and I closed the app. So my session for that time only, my first ever session, ended, let's say, after 5 minutes or so. 2 hours later, and maybe at 11 a.m. or something, I started using the app again, maybe did some other things within the app, but I haven't made any purchase yet. So I closed the app again after 2 to 5 minutes, for the sake of example again. At 4 p.m. in the afternoon, this time I open the app, maybe I want to use some other solutions within the app, and I end up making a purchase. So in this particular example, before I made a purchase, I used the app 3 times, and only in the third session I made a purchase. So app owner obviously wants to know and understand this journey so that how the user ended up making the purchase at the end of the third session. Their interest here, and it is totally understandable actually, there's nothing wrong about it. Their interest is to reduce this time. In this particular example, it took 3 different sessions for the user to make a purchase. How can we actually reduce that to 2 sessions or even maybe 1 session? What is it that the user actually saw, maybe recognized or discovered within the app in the third session so that the user made the purchase in this third session we are talking about, instead of making it in the first session? Which differences do we have between the first session and the third session here, which led to the problem from the app owner's point of view that the user itself didn't make any purchase in the first session in the first step? And it may also happen in many cases that users start using the application and maybe they only have 1 or at most 2 sessions, and after 2 sessions, let's say that they close the app and they don't use it anymore. Maybe the same user will make a purchase in the third session, but that user never comes to that third session because there's only 2 sessions and after the second session, the user maybe ends up uninstalling the application. So this is sort of, an understandable interest from the point of app owner. But on the other hand, this requires being able to connect these sessions with each other. If you want to be able to connect these sessions with each other, you sort of need to create a user ID. You can create this user ID in multiple ways, but it doesn't matter how you create this thing. Since you start connecting the sessions with each other, all of a sudden, this is sort of, it is not written to the stone, it is not concrete 100%. But the thing here is that the regulation may create problems for you because you are creating some sort of fingerprinting for the user. You are creating a user profile. Collecting this information and collecting all these sessions from these, collecting this data from all these sessions for the same user, and you are sort of creating a user profile for a given user. When you do this, you are creating a fingerprinting, and when you create this fingerprinting, your collected data is not anonymous anymore, it is pseudonymous, and pseudonymous data is perceived to be a personal data, not anonymized data from the point of GDPR. And from this angle, you actually need to ask for user consent from your users if you are using this kind of solution, where you can actually see what is happening between the sessions. You maybe don't need to understand all the technical details, but the point here is that if you're using a solution which claims to be GDPR compliant, but at the same time they give you the opportunity of connecting sessions with each other for the same user, so that you can do multi-session tracking, that solution is not necessarily 100% GDPR compliant. In the EU, there are different countries, and these countries, may have their own interpretation of the GDPR and e-privacy directive, even which I'm going to talk about as well soon in this video. But the point here is that maybe you may be okay in this or that country. I'm not going to give any names here, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be compliant in all EU countries, because their interpretation may differ depending on how they see the picture from their point of view. That is one thing. Multi-session tracking. If there's any multi-session tracking in your solution that you're using, it may still be privacy friendly, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is GDPR compliant. You should be remembering this. The second thing that is very important, many people know and maybe heard about GDPR. There is yet another thing that is called e-privacy directive, which is also some sort of regulation from EU. EU is the leading organization in the world for this kind of regulation. The point here is that in the case of e-privacy directive, it is mainly all about what you store on the user's device. Let's say that the user starts using your application, and a session is created basically, and you are using an analytics solution, and this analytics SDK, collecting the analytics data from the user itself, has also started using the device's memory to be able to collect the analytics data, and maybe for storing the session ID itself, so that all these events that are collected from the application, what are events, by the way, whenever the user taps on a button or takes or does a certain activity and make a purchase, let's say, maybe changes his or her password, and things like that, anything that may happen within the app. So you're going to send this analytics data to the server, but before doing that, you need to store this data on the user device. You can store it on the disk, or you can store it on the RAM. I guess, to my understanding, storing it, the session IDs and things like that on the RAM is a safer approach instead of touching the disk, because on the RAM, the data that you store becomes transient, and if the user closes the app and so on, so it is not permanent. It is deleted right away from the RAM, but it is not necessarily the same thing if you store the data on the disk. But to my understanding, in many cases, no matter you store it on the RAM or on the hard disk, since you are storing some sort of analytics data on the device itself, which is not obligatory, which is not a must, which is not necessary for the application to function, you still need to get user consent from the user. So we are collecting analytics data. The user tapped on the purchase button. Then the user tapped on the cancel purchase button. Then the user went to the profile page, maybe changed their password and things like that. We are collecting all this data, but collecting this data is not necessarily needed for the application to be able to function, since it is not obligatory, and since this data is taking space from the user's memory, no matter it is hard disk or memory, RAM memory itself. You still need to get user consent from the user. Still, some countries may have their own interpretation, and they may say that this is totally okay. There's nothing wrong about it, and you actually don't need to get user consent for these things from the user itself. If you ask my personal opinion, which has no relevance actually, who cares about what I think about it? But collecting simple, and simple analytics data, so to say, shouldn't require user consent actually, as long as you're not really tracking users, especially as long as you're not selling the user data to other third parties, ad networks, and things like that. But that is my personal opinion. It doesn't really matter what I think about it, because the regulation says that if you're storing this kind of data in the memory, you have to get user consent from the user. So while it is the case, while it is possible in many solutions that you can track user over multiple sessions, and the solution itself stores analytics data by consuming space from the user's device's memory, either RAM or hard disk, and saying that the user doesn't need any user consent is a huge promise, and I think it's a danger zone from one angle. If you're following my channel, I developed this very privacy first and very privacy focused analytics solution called Respectlytics. You can check out the link in the descriptions below. It takes the thing to the extremes, so it only collects five fields in each and every event. Custom fields are forbidden, so it's blocked. Any other thing is blocked. Multi-session tracking is impossible, but from the point of e-privacy directive, for example, it still stores data in the memory before sending it to the server. So from that angle, you actually need to get user consent. To my understanding, at least, there may still be regulations out there who say that you actually don't need to ask for user consent for this kind of thing. I'm not saying, or I'm not marketing Respectlytics as a GDPR compliance solution, or e-privacy directive compliance solution, or CCPA compliance solution. You have to take your own decision. It is a huge topic. So, but what I recognize is that solutions that are not as strict as Respectlytics are claiming that they are GDPR compliant, which disturbs me to some extent actually, because I'm not telling that my solution is GDPR compliant, while my solution is a lot stricter than many other solutions out there in the market, being taking the thing to the extremes and being paranoid about privacy actually, and with extreme data minimization. But still, it is your choice if you're going to ask for user consent or not when collecting the analytics data from the users. So this is a huge topic, and I will continue talking about it. Thanks for listening this time, and see you in the next one. Cheers.